Okay, what's the square root of 2? So the square root of 2 is like 1 point something, right? It's like, what's the square root of 2? It's like 1.414. And then it continues on, right? So if I subtract the square root of 2 from 1, what kind of number am I going to get? A positive number or a negative number?
Negative.
Negative. Okay. So that means, so this number here is going to be negative. Negative. And so I have this negative number times x, and I want it to be positive. So that means that x is going to have to be
Negative, so it's less than 0.
exactly. And so the answer is really, so your answer was really close. It's just that it's actually E, because the sign, but it's sort of like, it's a little bit misleading, but you have to remember that the square root of 2 is bigger than 1. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
There we go. Negative. Okay, cool. Can you solve exercise 1D from the lesson 2 slides? Okay, let me just pull that up then. 1D from lesson 2. Okay, I'm just downloading lesson 2. You mean number 4? Here, let me share the screen again. The question about the Skia River. Oh, hang on, but which I don't think that's lesson 2. Let me see if I can find that. Oh yeah, okay, D. Here we are. Okay. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so this was the surface area of the river Skia covered by water lilies increased by 20% in the first year and then by 1.1% in the second year. What was the percentage increase over 2 years? So that was this problem here. So, okay. So the thing here is that this is like what's called like this is a compounded increase. So it's like an increase. The first time that you increase, it's increasing as a percentage of whatever you have, and the second time that you increase, you're increasing as a percentage of what you have next. Okay, so okay, so an increase of 20% means that it's 120% of whatever you started with. And your increase of 1.1% means 101.1% of what you started with. And so, okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So this is what I went over here. Let me see if I can annotate over here. I'll go with orange. Okay. So the point was that in order to go from your the amount in the original, like right at the beginning, to the amount at the end of the second year, you have to go in 2 steps. And in the first step, you multiply. So whatever your area, let's say that your area at the beginning was A. All right. So that's what we called here A0. Okay. So then after the first year, I increased by 120%. And so that means that my area got multiplied by 120 divided by 100, because that's what it means to increase by 20%, right? You have like 100% and another 20% more. All right, so that's 120%. That was after the first year. And then that was how much you had after the first year. And after that, at the end of your second year, that increased by 1.1%. And so that means that it became 101.1%. Okay, of what you had. Okay, and so then the question is, altogether, oops, here we go. So then altogether, this is the same as, so over here, let's see, over here is where I worked out what multiplying by 120 times 101.1 divided by 100 and divided by another 100 is equal to as a percentage, right? So multiplying by 120 over 100 times 101.1 over 100, the question to find out what that is as a percentage, you have to write that product as something divided by 100. But then the question is, what is that thing divided by 100? And so, and so I worked it out over here. You can keep one of those hundreds, and then you have 120 times 101.1 divided by 100 in your numerator. And that comes to 121.32. So that means so this means that altogether, A times 120 divided by 100 times 101.1 divided by 100 is